The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Happily back for another week of NASCAR talking. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb, as always. I am back, and I'm Rod Villagomez, and we are here to recap the weekend in 15 different tracks across America for 3 different series. Yes, it was an eventful week, not just for the races on the track, but for me as well. My Army duties tore me away for a little while, and listen, Cody, as modern as our Army is today, they cannot figure out a way for me to be able to do shows and work at the same time. I need to write my congressman.
Yes, I would appreciate if you do, because I like sitting on this side of the table a little better than sitting on that side. I am so happy to have you back. Luckily, I found some great guests to hold us down while you were gone, but nothing beats doing it with you, being here and letting you do the hard part, and I just sit here and blabber.
Hey, listen, and hats off to Derek Yoder. Obviously, you guys know him and love him from past episodes. Mike Bachman, as well as John Ginder and Gindy 500, which, of course, you know him as well from the Slack chat or the
Slack.
A week
Discord.
away, and I already don't remember where we're at. Discord
yeah,
chat.
and Matt Seltz too, jumping on and doing Cup. Oh boy, it was hectic week, but glad we got all the shows in. Thanks for hanging on with us and suffering through my horrible ad reads and hosting abilities and waiting for Rod's beautiful golden tones to be back.
No, my friend, you did a fabulous job. I, for one, was wondering if I was going to have my job when I came back, because I figured that Sean and Ryan were going to figure out that they can cut the costs by just having you on and just kind of axing me out of it. So I was like, let's
luckily for you, I don't think either one of them are NASCAR fans much. So no, just kidding. But yeah. And Rod, again, even though you were gone doing your Army duties, you still did all the behind the scenes, getting the audio pulled, getting the audio put up. I just had to hit start and stop and stumble through it. So thanks for holding down the ship on that side of things. And boy, I'm happy to have you back. Man, get to recap some races. We got some more racing this week before a week off next week. And yeah.
It's good to be back. I will tell you that right now. I sorely missed every single one of you. I tried to hop in the Discord about as much as I possibly could over the course of the weekend. I was lucky enough to be able to watch all 3 races. So while I may not have been able to lay bets on them, I was able to watch them. And let me tell you right now, Cody, it is a vastly different experience watching a race and not sweating the finishing positions of every single driver on that track. It is a freeing experience to watch a race and not care where Tyler Reddick finishes, or, you know, if Eric Jones finds a way to not have the legacy curse follow him and Gragson doesn't blow up. Man, I'm telling you right now, it's a weird experience. I can't say that I would do it every week, but I think every few weeks you should take a step back and just watch a race for watching a race sake.
Yeah, nice little reset there. I like to do that with like dirt track races and stuff. Like if I find that, flipping through the TV and you see a race that's on, I'll be like, okay, I'll turn this on. And then there's that part of me that's always like, man, can I hang with this if I don't have any action on it? Like, then I'm like looking through the lineup. I'm like, okay, if I was gonna bet on this, which car number would I want to? Which guy's name do I like the best? Like, I don't know anything about any of this, but
Welcome to my Olympic handball experience. I was always like, I don't know who I want to go for. So which country do I think is cooler? So that's what I'm going for. But no, listen, and to me, like watching these races and just knowing what you guys had on them, I was definitely pulling for a lot of what you guys had. A lot of smart bets on the weekend. I know that.
Yeah, we actually had a fairly decent week. A few voided bets here that we'll get into, obviously. But yeah, and then a couple of bad beats too. I know Derek, man, he was so close to cashing Zane. But there were still quite a few solid things that we hit this week. And I was a little, again, no outrights this week, but I was still pretty happy with overall how the bets performed on the week.
And it feels like everybody in the Discord too had a good time sweating along with everybody as well. Yep. I'm telling you right now, Cody, if you follow along with the progress of the beginning of the season, the kind of talk at the beginning of the season to now that we're pretty much halfway through. We're actually, the All-Star race is halfway, but we're really half-star. I'm telling you, the intelligence level of that Discord channel, you guys, you don't even need us anymore, but I'm glad you keep us around.
Yeah, don't tell them that because they might actually not. Yeah, some of the, man, those guys are on it. You got guys in there watching old races. Like, I don't even get a chance to watch every old race back. And like some of these guys are doing the second the other race ends. Like, man, so yeah, shout out to those guys holding it down over there. And always, I mean, they're waiting for lines to drop and jumping on stuff right away and calling stuff out. So it's a great time.
It is a fantastic time. All right. Well, we'll continue our conversation on the other side of our first break. And then we will get to start talking about the bets that Cody was laying down all week with our esteemed guest hosts. But let's tell you about Edge Boost. This very episode is supported by Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the world's finest. It's the first. Well, it's finest and it's first. Bet now, pay later Visa card. Edge is currently offering up to $2,500 in betting advances, which can be extremely valuable tool. Imagine what you can do with an increased bankroll. Get down now on some of your favorite futures. I'm just going to let you know right now, there will be a week off here coming pretty soon. We're going to use that to fill it with some futures episodes. This is a perfect time for you to get down on your Edge Boost. Get that $2,500 so you can start looking ahead to those futures, and it doesn't really cost you all that much right now to do it. You can double up your bankroll for months. Double down now on your favorite bet you like, or even use it to create an awesome middle or even hedge. Edge Boost isn't some sleazy loan shark. Nah, they charge 0 interest. And do you know a way you can access more money to place on your favorite bets without paying any interest? I don't. Now you do. Edge Boost can also be a part of a responsible gambling plan, as you can set up daily, monthly, weekly limits across all your betting accounts in just one place. Support us, the SGPN, and grow your bankroll by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Cody, as we said before, there were 3 separate races across 2 tracks. And don't get twisted. I know that in my thing it said Madison, Illinois. They weren't in St. Louis. They said they were in St. Louis, but they were not in St. Louis. Everyone's like, they're in St. Louis. No, they're in Madison, Illinois. They just say they're in St. Louis because they can see the arch, and they're the closest to the arch.
And nobody knows where Madison, Illinois is unless you say St. Louis.
Exactly. So, so the trucks, obviously, and the Cup were in the Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois, and the Xfinity drivers were on that treacherous Portland track. I mean, it doesn't matter whether there's rain or there's not. That Portland track is a killer.
We got some good races, though. I mean, the finishes of both of these, the truck and Xfinity race, and even the Cup race, we'll get into that too. 47 race. They're still restarting what's supposed to be the shortest race of the season. But no, I mean, extremely good finishes. You could argue the best cars maybe didn't win the Xfinity and Truck Series races. But yeah, it's boy, it sure was exciting.
Yeah, and really, again, to be honest with you, it was frustrating in some instances, especially overtime. Overtime is always frustrating when you have such great racing up into the end, and then you got a green white checker, which in and of its own right is exciting. But it's like, dude, I would have loved to have seen this race end under green just to see what would have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just how it goes sometimes, and that's where the real sweat comes in when it comes to the bets, because either you're already cashing a bunch of stuff and it's in danger of imploding, or you've still got some stuff you're hanging on that you're hoping that late caution sending you in overtime will help you get there. So that's real sweat time for sure.
Yeah. Well, the first race we'll talk about obviously ended under NASCAR overtime. That was the Toyota 200. It was the truck race. It was at the Gateway Raceway over there in Madison. 160 laps scheduled, 162 laps run. Grant Enfinger, your winner. I'm kind of glad that I didn't handicap this one because I love me some Grant Enfinger, and if I would have picked him to win, he wouldn't have won this race.
Yeah, this one, well, half my bets got voided because, of course, before going into the weekend, Corey Heim ends up being sick. So they pull him out of the truck. They moved Jesse Love from the 1 truck over to the 11 truck. And then Tony Bredinger jumped into the 1 truck to fill in. Corey Heim came into the weekend as a points leader, left the weekend still as the points leader, even despite missing the race. So obviously that's going to avoid some of these bets out. But yeah, it was still a pretty good weekend. If we want to start with Derek's bet, he had Ben Rhodes over Jesse Love. This one was close. It was back and forth. I do think there is a difference in that 1 truck and the 11 truck. Obviously, at the time of recording, Love was going to be in the 1 truck. Really surprised at how well he hung in there for being his first start. Derek and I talked about that. That was kind of the reason to fade him. We know that he's a very good upcoming talent. We're going to be hearing a lot from him for the years to come forward, but moving up to make his first Truck Series start, kind of a big thing. Then he gets put in the championship leading truck, ends up having a pretty solid day. I think until the last overtime, I think originally when I looked, actually, Love had been scored ahead of Rhodes, and it got fixed after that. So Derek did cash that one. I had Heim over Majeski, obviously got voided, but had this been the case, likely you would have cashed this with Majeski going Majeski at the end there and ending up finishing 30th despite having probably the best truck on the day. So yeah. And then Derek, he had Zane over Majeski minus 120.
Oh, that one was,
oh boy, this was a close one, but luckily after Majeski took out Zane was still able to run at the end there. So he did beat that. Then we had the head-to-head, the Venmo bet. We stole a book out of Derek and Phil's playbook over on their betting preview show where they do the Truck Series thing. Had the Venmo bets. I was pretty much fucked from the get-go on this one. I have paid Derek out, so if anybody was wondering if I held up my side of the bet, but he had Matty D over Raja Caruth. I had Raja Caruth over Matty D. It was a rough weekend for Caruth, starting with not being able to qualify. And then Matty D, really, I mean, he was running in 3rd place even super late in this race. Ends up with a solid 6th place finish. I just swing and a miss for me on that one, Rod.
well, and listen, to be honest with you, I think we've sold Matty D a little short now. This is the point where we have to stop.
I don't know why I really like betting against that guy.
It's not sexy. Like Matty D is not, he's just not a sexy guy to bet on. And it's not as if we had an all-out hate for him like we did Denny Hamlin, but it's just we don't feel like he's that echelon that we should be talking about him. But he's putting himself up there. He's 6th place last week.
Well, yeah, and I think that team has really stepped up. Like that Rackley War truck team has not been that good over the past, and now they're in their 2nd season. DiBenedetto, for as much as I like to hate on him, I mean, he was a Cup Series driver for a long time. He was doing a great job in subpar equipment for the most part. He maybe missed out a little bit on his chance at Wood Brothers, but when he was in some of those other rides, like he was getting the most out of them. Almost won at Bristol in that 95 car. And so he's obviously advanced this team a lot, and I think they've put the resources into it. And so I think he is a guy we're going to have to stop undervaluing going forward here, I guess.
I hate to say it, but yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one.
I had Christian Eckes over Grant Enfinger. These guys end up finishing first and second, unfortunately in the wrong direction. But, kind of a toss-up here. Enfinger's so strange. Like, he's only led very few laps this season, but he's got 2 wins now. It's been an odd season for him, but right place, right time. Put himself in position. Eckes had a fast truck, like I assumed. I did flip Eckes as my official winning pick in the Discord once the Heim news came out at 7-1 too, and I feel like that was a good bet. He was up there throughout the day, but obviously that one did not cash either. Derek had Grant Enfinger top 5 at plus 140. Obviously won the race, so that cashed for him. My edge double down bet of the day was Corey Heim top 3. Again, voided because Heim did not race. Heartbreakingly, Derek had given out Zane Smith at plus 500. And yeah, looking really good. He looked like he was going to win there at the end. You get into that late restart. Majeski just drove it like a bat out of hell into the corner with no chance of slowing. I don't know what he thought he was doing there. And back to where we bet against him, where both of us had bets against him. He had Zane over Ty. I had Heim over Ty. And Ty Majeski had the best truck on the day, but in the end, he did what he's been doing lately and just making stupid mistakes and not getting the result. Ends up the best truck, a chance to take the points lead with Heim being out, finished 30th on the day, and still doesn't have the points lead because he just made stupid, dumb mistakes. Instead of settling for finishing second or third, guns it too much, ends up costing his day, ends up costing Zane Smith's day. Disappointing, I guess, to say the least. But so Derek missed out on that one, unfortunately. I had Corey Heim again, voided, so I added Eckes on Discord instead. That one didn't hit either at 7-1. Taylor Gray, again, it was another dart that was thrown out there. He was running decent kind of all day. Ends up with a 13th place finish. Again, it was 20-1. It's a long shot. He's just kind of been my go-to long shot just because long shots haven't been super sexy in the truck series here lately.
No, they have not.
Yeah, that's pretty much the wrap up on trucks. Still a pretty decent day. Again, half the bets were voided, so that kind of sucked. But hit on multiple head-to-heads here. As long as you went with Derek on the Matty D side of things, and the Enfinger top 5 call by Derek as well at plus 140 was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good race. We'll continue to kind of touch on it, but we'll definitely get to the Xfinity race after the break. Got to step away one more time to tell you about Underdog Fantasy, because we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes, plus plenty of ways to win with NBA, NHL, and MLB with their player prop parlays. Head over to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Look, my heart sank when Smith and Majeski did that little dance, that little spinneroonie at the end. That was all Majeski, man. And because I was pulling for Zane at that point. I mean, we've all documented how much we love Zane Smith this season and how good he is. And you're right, man. Grant Enfinger was just right there. And Christian Eckes didn't even lead a single lap in this race, but put himself in the right position at the end to kind of be the recipient had Enfinger not been able to kind of get in there. But yeah, that was an entertaining race. That had a lot of good stuff in it. And I'm telling you right now, in a season where we've seen these truck guys kind of take each other out at all ends, there wasn't a lot of carnage. I mean, you talked about it. Majeski was out, Deegan was out, Jones, Thompson, and Greenfield were out, and that was it. Like, that was not necessarily that bad for a truck race to have all those guys out and a lot more just kind of running. You know, I thought that was a good race overall.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys running at the end. That hit Haley Deegan, rather. The hit she took, wow. There was some hard hits this weekend. Obviously, Gregson on Sunday. Man, just some rough hits on this track. But again, goes to the safety of things, and luckily everybody walked away. Everybody seems to be okay from those, but yeah, some scary hits for sure.
Yeah, there were. Speaking of well, it wasn't that too many scary hits. There's a lot of scary things happening though on this Xfinity race over there in Portland. I'm telling you right now, when watching this race, especially compared to last year, because I remember last year was raining and there was so much it was crazy. There was sprays of water all over the place. Guys couldn't even get into that first corner that they had. It was pure chaos. Well, I thought, okay, the track's dry. Still pure chaos on that track. It was the Pacific Office Automation 147, 75 laps. Surprise, surprise, we needed 77 to finish that one. And it was Justin Allgaier, my favorite junior motorsports driver, that won this race.
Was it?
Oh, no,
it was Cole
Custer.
Hey, he's only 9 away from the prediction I gave at the beginning of the season now.
Hey, but he's getting up there. And listen, what's impressive is Cole drove all the way from the back of the pack to the front. So that was.
I will give him that. I will say he backed into this win. He did not earn this win, but hey, a win's a win. You give it to him. Yeah, if he gets 9 more this season, then I won't look like such an idiot in the off season.
Nah, I know you're mad, and that's okay. You have every right to be mad, Cody. He has done you dirty, and
He
finally
has.
got this
He's-
one.
Yes, he finally got one. It's again close to hitting the guest pickers bets in a couple of places here. Did not, unfortunately, quite get that. But yes, this was another good episode. Mike Bachman joined me. He's been working with Derek over there on the betting preview show. And they have been doing he's done the Xfinity Series show, hosted that by himself multiple times. I got to be a guest there last week. We had a lot of fun. So he was a natural ask to join this week with me. And yeah, he gave out some pretty good bets. And we had a pretty decent card this weekend. He started with Austin Hill over Cole Custer. This was at plus money, plus 110. Both of us, Custer was the favorite going into this. Both of us kind of disagreed with that being the case. And I don't think we were wrong. Custer won the race. I get it. I understand that. It took overtime. It took the winners or the leaders, again, taking themselves out, very similar to the Truck Series race where Parker Kligerman, again, I guess you got to go for it, right? This was he didn't know what to do because his car lasted more than 5 laps. So I understand how he was confused as to what was going on. But it just, yeah, again, dive bombed in there, took out Creed again. Creed, a dominant day. Again, cannot find victory lane. He's just so snake bitten. It's almost ridiculous at this point. But Micah called out Austin Hill over him. Hill had, I think, 4 fourth-place finishes in a row. Decided to change it up and finish 5th this weekend. But again, another solid run on any track. It doesn't matter where you go for Austin Hill. That's what you're expecting from him. And Custer, he got sent to the back. He could have easily been one of the guys spun there at the end. So I do think that was a good bet. I had Jordan Taylor over Parker Kligerman. This one was back and forth all day long. Jordan Taylor, very, very impressive, running up in the top 5, top 7 or so all day. Kligerman was as well. He was about 3rd to 5th all day long. My main thing was, will Kligerman last more than 5 laps? Because he hasn't had a car that can do that in weeks. My biggest concern with Taylor was, will he get bounced around? He didn't till the end. He did get bounced around then, and he was one of those guys that got bounced around a little bit more at the end than Kligerman. Kligerman, again, 14th place finish after his dive bomb attempt failed, so wasn't even the best day for him, but Taylor did fall all the way back to 27th. Jordan Taylor started 6th on the day, so again, everything was pretty solid about Taylor's weekend until the very end. I still think I would take this bet again, despite going against my heart, having to pick against Parker Kligerman. That was not what I love to do, but I do think that it was not necessarily the wrong bet to make.
And listen, Taylor impressed so much. And again, we know that 10 car is what it is, and it's the all-star car for a reason. But sometimes it's not always the equipment, it's the driver as well. And so for him to be able to get into that equipment and live up to it. Sometimes it's a little unnerving to get into a car is good and not do it justice. So, I think for him that's a really good, it's his first start right after he made his first Cup start. So It's just a matter of this guy. He's somebody we got to pay attention to. If he's in a car, we'll have to obviously see what kind of car it is, obviously, but sometimes it's not just you got to be up to it. You got to be up to the moment. And he was up to the moment. Unfortunately, like you said, he got jostled around too much. And it was not necessarily a victim of his own circumstances, but somebody else put him there. So I definitely got to keep an eye on him for sure.
Yeah, we've seen solid runs from him in the 9 car, filling in for Elliott at Coda, and then again this weekend. So I think if he continues to get these opportunities as he gets more comfortable with the beating and banging, that's what's so different about NASCAR from all these other series. Like, they don't beat and bang like that in the type of racing that he's used to. But as he continues to get used to it, he might become more and more of a threat. So definitely got to keep his eye on. Mike switched his pick mid-show on this one. He was going to go with Sam Mayer over Josh Berry. Ended up going with Berry over Mayer on the plus money side of things. Boy, this was looking pretty decent, right? Sam Mayer ends up starting dead last. Josh Berry starting third. All day long, this was cashing. They flipped right at the end. Mayer finishes third. Berry in fourth. Unfortunately, he just missed that one. I, again, went against my heart on this pick. Riley Herbst, it's been rough for him lately. I decided to fade him by picking Chandler Smith over him. Guess what happens, Rod? Engine failure. Riley Herbst, 32nd place. Until further notice, I guess we're just betting against Riley Herbst at this point. We were on him strong at the beginning of the season, right? And Mike and I talked about this last week. It's almost like him and Custer crossed in the night and changed directions, right? Custer was just, everything was downhill. It was bad. Herbst was just all these solid finishes. Then they crossed paths. It's been uphill for Custer lately, downhill for Herbst. I guess both Stewart-Haas cars can't be good at the same time. I don't know what the deal is there, but yes, this one did cash for me with picking Chandler Smith over Riley Herbst. Chandler Smith had his fair share of incidents on the day, but
early on too.
Yeah, it was a rough early. He had some early struggles. Him and Jeb Burton got into quite the pissing match. Go check out Chandler Smith's Twitter. There's a pretty funny video, whoever his social team put together that, yeah. But anyways, he beat him. Herbst, it's been freaking rough for Herbst lately. If they're going to keep giving us head-to-head opportunities, I think we're going to have to keep going against him until he can show us that he can finish it. We know we can do it, right? But like Parker Kligerman, until we start getting the results again, I think you're just going to have to fade him in the meantime.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that this is one of those instances where we got to just go with what what it's been showing us lately. And it's sad because we both really do love him. And it's frustrating to see him struggle this much.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, Mike had Myatt Snyder, top 5 plus 100. Oh, so close. Snyder ends up finishing in 6th place. Snyder was more impressive than I thought he would be. I kind of wasn't getting all the Snyder hype, but kind of hung out up top 10 all day for the most part. He was 8th in stage 1. I think just outside the top 10 in stage 2, but ends up with a 6th place finish on the day. It's a good solid run for him in that Joe Gibbs car. Not quite good enough to cash the top 5, unfortunately. My edge boost double down of the day, Sammy Smith over Parker Kligerman. This one was minus 122. Did Sammy Smith race in this race, Rod? I'm uncertain because I never saw him. Things just went, I don't even know what happened. Like lap 2, I think he had some issue, and then it was just, he was laps down. He kept getting laps back and then getting lapped again and then getting laps back. And yeah, ends up in 13th place. Never really has a shot at cash in this one, unfortunately. My fade Parker Kligerman angle didn't quite work out this weekend. Man, Mike and I both were very, very high on Sammy Smith. We thought he was going to be the car to beat. Who knows if we would have been right or not? We never really got a chance to see it. His issues started so early in that race. I blocked it out of my mind. I can't even remember what happened to him because it was just so horrible, and I knew that everything was shot at that point in time. But yeah, unfortunately, that's how it goes sometimes.
Well, and for Sammy Smith, I mean, him and Chandler Smith had just rough days. And I think at one point they were even together in one of that. And so it was just a matter of them just not really having good days at all. And he ran 75 laps,
Yeah, it was shifter issues for Sammy Smith very early in the race. And then he just never recovered, fortunately. Let's see. Next up, Mike gave out Justin Allgaier top 5 plus 140. Second place, that will cash that. Great call by Mike there. I gave out Josh Berry top 5 plus 225. Doubled up on our top 5 predictions. Hit both of these. Josh Berry finishes in 4th. Junior Motorsports, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in this. After a win last week, things are definitely looking up. Brandon Jones, 13th. That might be his best finish of the season. It's been rough for Brandon Jones. But the other 3 JRM cars all looked very good. So, yeah, solid hits there. Both two plus money top 5 hits to hit 2 of the 3. I mean, really, we gave out 3 top 5 hits, and they finished, all 3 of them finished in the top 6. The one with that was the lowest number is the one that didn't cash. We actually hit the 2 higher numbered ones. So we'll take that, a plus 140 for Allgaier, plus 225 for Barry. We were in sync on our top 5s this week. Mike and I were.
I love it. I mean, and again, these guys, it wasn't like they snuck into it either. They were around the whole damn day up front. So, and that front pack was just, it was a crazy front pack. And the broadcast nailed it too for a hot second, where they were talking about, look at this top 10. Like, if you'd have told me that this was the top 10 going into this race.
Yeah, the great thing, we talked about this too on the show, was no Cup Series guys, right? AJ Allmendinger graduated, Ty Gibbs graduated, no Cup ringers in this. Like, there was not just a road course all-star in this race. It's just your regular Xfinity Series guys battling it out. Not going to get that this week. There's like 10 Cup guys in the Xfinity race at Sonoma. It's ridiculous how many Cup guys are in that race. But are you typing, Rod, or am I typing? I don't know what the hell's going on.
No, you have the what do you call it on?
Oh, the type to talk.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's a lot of words really fast, just popping up in the document for some reason. That really threw me off. I was like, what is going on?
Behind the scenes, we've got our Google Doc pulled out. Apparently, Cody's got the voice translator going.
That's what I get for having it on my phone. But I just looked down and I'm like, is Rod trying to send me a message? But that is like way too many words popping up all at once.
I'm dictating everything you're saying into the doc.
Yeah, it's been a long day and I'm really tired, so sorry. But no, in the racing we got at the end of each stage, like passes for the win on both stages. John Hunter Nemechek almost gets it on the first one, and then the second stage he gets it, and then he loses it back, and it just crazy. It ends up that's when John Hunter and Creed
that's
get into their
we haven't even talked about the payback on the track. Not just for everybody was getting everybody. Teammates were going at it too.
Yes, because it was it John Hunter and Sammy Smith ended up kind of getting into it at the end. Tempers were flaring. There was never really. Did anybody ever get a big lead in this race? I think maybe Allgaier at one point had like a couple seconds, but
he had 3 seconds.
Yeah, it never got where somebody was really running away. We had the stage breaks. Obviously, that will not be a thing at Sonoma this week. We'll talk about that, on the upcoming shows this week. But I did think that it was very, very great racing throughout the day. It was never somebody just ran away with it. Creed, I think, led the most laps, most likely. I don't have that pulled up, but he probably had the best car on the day. But it was never for sure he was going to win, and there were multiple guys up in there at the end.
Yeah, Creed led 47 laps, Allgaier 23, and then Custer 5 and Nemechek 2.
Yeah. So, okay, and then so Mike gave out Austin Hill plus 600. Again, a nice solid bet. Hill ends up with a solid 5th place finish. He was in there at the mix at the end. Again, when these leaders are wrecking each other, you just got to be in position to get in there. Hill could have been that guy. Sammy Smith, he got in on that early in the week at 10-1. Didn't work out so well. Justin Allgaier, this was the great call out by Mike. 11-1 with the boost on Caesars. I think he was plus 700, plus 650 most places. You had the boost that put you up to 11-1. This had a chance. I think Allgaier might have been the guy leading at the end of regulation, technically, before we went into overtime. Obviously, then gets screwed by overtime and the dive bomb by Parker Kligerman. So that was unfortunate. I had Sammy Smith plus 700. By the time I got to him, his number had dropped a little. Again, shifter issues early. But 2 super value bets here. I got Josh Berry 20-1, Sam Mayer 22-1. They finished 4th and 3rd, respectively. Again, my thought on this was they could be there at the end, and I said this on the show. If it comes to the late in the race and the leaders take each other out, one of these guys could sneak through and win the race. We get to the end of the race, the leaders take each other out, and these guys are right there in the mix. It could have happened. We get one more overtime. Maybe it ends up. Sam Mayer had a long day to get there. He started 36th place, fought his way up through the field all day long, ends up in the mix at the end. He is a very good road course racer. We'll see what the odds look like this week. I have a feeling he's going to be a guy we're going to be talking about. Josh Berry continues to just be consistent. I think he was 6 for 8 finishing in the top 10 at road courses coming into this race, or something close to that was a stat Mike had brought. Obviously, that continues to grow. So, again, it's been a very, very tough year for outrights as far as just hitting the right guys in the right weeks has not been super easy to do. And I thought I was listening to the Teardown, Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi's podcast that they always do, Sunday nights after the race. And Bianchi had this quote. He said, "It really sometimes feels like we don't know anything at all." And I just thought that kind of spoke perfectly to, you can do all this research and like everything that goes into this. And then sometimes it's just like, how could you have predicted this to happen? And it's like, there's nothing you could have done to predict exactly what happened here, because it was nothing from the past, which is, I just thought it was very fitting and spoke to me when he said that. But overall, again, I think this Xfinity Series race was a success. We hit quite a few of these bets, had some nice plus monies, hit a couple of these head-to-heads as well. And again, it sucks to not hit the outrights, but to have the good value sitting there means that you went through the process. To have Allgaier at 11-1 was an outstanding bet given out by Mike. To have Barry, to have Mayer 20-1, both plus, finish in the top 5 at the end. Not much more you can ask for long shot bets like that. So again, I think that this was a successful week of betting, and back-to-back weeks on road courses too for Xfinity. That's going to be interesting to break down. Again, it's almost a completely different field with all the Cup guys, and we'll get into that on Wednesday's Xfinity Series show. So make sure you tune back in for that. But it's going to be a fun week as they go back-to-back on the road courses.
Yeah. And again, Portland was a blast to watch anyways, because it just felt like they really did their best to just be nice to each other until they weren't. That was the thing too. They were racing well, and then tempers started to flare, especially, look, I'm telling you, those stationary pit stops are always so difficult, because those guys are sitting in their car and they don't get to do anything but sit there and wait, maybe have a drink of water, or maybe have a snack or something. But that's a long time to just sit there and wait to get back out on the track. And, especially when you're pissed off and you've just had something happen to you, or you just lost a stage because you lost it on the last lap. It's just, there's so much to think about when you're just sitting there, which is why I think that race got progressively more chippy as it all went down. But again, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the races. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys handicapped it the way you did, because obviously there was a lot of good bets in there and a lot of good stuff. So yeah, but again, I mean, watching this without anything on it, it just kind of makes you sit there and go, I wonder what I would have done had I been able to put some bets on this, because it probably would have made the whole experience a lot more different again to watch this road race. But I got to watch everybody beating and banging and go, oh man, that must have sucked for whoever had Parker Kligerman. I honestly thought about you right away too when Kligerman was running that well. I was like, they had Kligerman all over the place, and that was, they're probably cheering and having a good time.
I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop on Kligerman. Like, I was just waiting for something to break. So, I mean, to have problems like the 11 car had, where it just goes up in flames all of a sudden.
Oh my God.
Like what? The safety crew's response to that was interesting. Like, he jumps out of the car. It's clearly on fire. They're kind of like just walking over. And he's like,
he points to,
there's a fire, like it's on fucking fire up here, like, and they're just like, and they're like just took their sweet ass. I was like, the car's on fire, like let's maybe put that out. Jeez.
And then you saw the grass was on fire too at one point.
Yeah, it was interesting. Again, this was a great race. It'll be fun with the Cup guys and all these really good road course guys this weekend too. But it was nice to have just the Xfinity guys on a different type of track where we hadn't really seen without, I mean, even last year when it was just Xfinity guys, there was AJ and there was Ty, who are just so much better than everyone else. Like, everybody was kind of on a level playing field this weekend, made that race even more enjoyable. And again, it paid off like all throughout the race. Both stages were great to the end. Nobody really ever ran away with it. Ended up with a great finish. So overall, yes, this was an outstanding race in my opinion.
I concur. All right, we'll head back over to the St. Louis area. When we come back, let's take one more break. And thank you very much. I know last week the YouTube thing did not work out very well. Apologies for that. Obviously, me being out of town, a little bit difficult to try to upload videos and download videos. So apologies, Grandma. You did not get to pay attention to a YouTube video. You could not have us droning on in the background while you knitted. I'm sorry. We'll make that up for you. We'll start this week. More YouTube videos just for you, Granny. You can have some fun with us as well. But everybody else out there that is not a grandmother, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the YouTube channel. Again, we will crank it back up again this week. You do see that I'm wearing my Scott Fishbowl t-shirt. Got my invite today. Very happy about that. So if you didn't watch the YouTube video, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But do that anyways. So did I make it awkward enough for everybody? I think that is the most important part of this ad read in particular. Make it awkward for you. Good night, Grandma. Go to sleep.
Hey, everybody. If you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
and or you're a whiskey fan,
yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast fantasy football channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
coming to you every Tuesday morning, give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
The injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
market movers. After all, we are the Marks,
He is my hubby.
and she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen. Come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Feel like I could have used a couple of old fashions watching this cup race. That people needed to cool down. They needed to cool off. The tire rotors, my friend, were the star of the show at this race. It was amazing to me for this to come down to brake rotors just popping like they were popcorn all over this. Of course, it was the Enjoy Illinois 300 from the...
Or if you listen to the DFS show, it was the Will LaJoy Enjoy Illinois 300.
I don't
Was,
think
that was a great one by John Ginder there. He came up with that. I thought it was pretty catchy, but yeah, kind of a mouthful. I don't think he enjoyed it either, but that's okay.
Not really. It was scheduled for 240 laps around the 1.2 paved track for 300 miles. You got bonus miles because what race cannot go into overtime this weekend? 243 officially the total on that one. Kyle Busch, your winner, and dare I say,
3 wins, Rod.
what did we say? at the beginning of the season?
Remember in November, all the way back in November, when we gave him out after the season ended, 20-1 to win the championship, holding tightly to that ticket. I know that NASCAR's interns would have told you 2 wins ago, that he was locked into the playoffs, but with 3 wins, he is for sure locked into the playoffs. And so, yeah, there's some good value on that. He's obviously racking up some pretty good playoff points. I thought Denny Hamlin made a really good point on his podcast, Actions Detrimental, this week. He was talking about Kyle Busch, and he said that if you go back and look at wherever Reddick was good last year, Kyle Busch has been good at those tracks. Where Reddick wasn't as good, Kyle Busch hasn't been, because it's been like big swings or big misses with them. Like they've either been really good and a win, obviously 3 wins, or they've had really bad weeks a lot. So going to be something to watch as we go forward. I think from a betting aspect, that's a great call out by Denny. Go back and look, and if Reddick did good at that track the previous season, it seems like that 8 team just has a really good notebook on certain tracks. They've obviously got some setup stuff figured out, trying to figure out the tracks where Reddick wasn't as good still. But if Reddick was good there last year, it seems like Busch ends up being good there and ends up having a pretty good day. So something to watch for sure. Like you said, brake rotors, story of the day. 4 different cars blew their brake rotors. The 42 of Gregson, hard hit for him. Gonna have to figure out to steer into the wall next time, like some of these other guys did. You can tell the difference in the veterans and the rookies, right? The guys who have done it a long time, they were driving into the wall to slow themselves down. I think what he tried to do was probably a decent move at some tracks. Hook it into the grass and spin out to slow yourself down. That did not work. He took a hard hit. Luckily, again, he was okay. And then both the 2311 cars, Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, both of them blew rotors. Both of them were having pretty good days. Bubba was up in top 10. I think Bubba's was like 4 to go too. Yeah. Top 10 day, solid run for him. That got ended late there. And then Carson Hocevar filling in the 7 car for Corey LaJoy, running top 15 all day long, outrunning LaJoy in the 9 car. Looked really good. Blows the brake rotor, smashes into the wall. Unfortunately, ended his day early as well. But very impressive for his first start. Never been in the Cup Series. I think he's got 3 Xfinity Series starts under his belt. He's only been racing in the Truck Series. He had a good, solid top 5 finish in the Truck Series yet again. Hocevar going to be a guy we're going to be talking about a lot going forward. But yes, and then I wanted to update also. A member of the 43 team was taken to the hospital. Thomas Hatcher, the front tire changer, was injured on pit road. What exactly happened? Nobody seems to know. I've not seen any video. On the broadcast, they had brought up that they thought Austin Dillon got into him, and then they walked that back. Later, the 3 teams said, hey, there was no contact. It sounded like maybe he collided with another pit crew guy. I'm not sure. But he was taken to the hospital, was treated and released from St. Louis University Hospital, and he's back home in North Carolina. So that's good news, of course. Always scary when a crew guy gets injured, has to take an ambulance ride to the hospital. And but also great to see somebody from Tyler Reddick's crew, a different manufacturer for now, right? They're going to be Toyota next year, but a different manufacturer, different team. The 45 car was out of the race. He jumped in. It's amazing how many times I've seen over the years. You see it especially at local tracks, like a guy gets damaged in the A main, has to pull down, and there's like 40 guys from all these different cars, different teams, guys he's competing against. Their team is coming over, and there's just guys swinging away and trying to fix these cars, get them back out there. I think that's something that the racing community has always had, that sportsmanship and that, yes, you're competitors, but at the end of the day, we want to compete with you on the track, not just beat you because you had damage, because somebody got hurt. So for that crew member to jump in and finish out the day with the 43 team was great, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty scary thing. Obviously, red flagging the race for that too, because did they red flag? Yeah, they red flagged.
Yeah, I think they did because they had to pull the ambulance.
Yeah, they red flagged the race for lightning
a lot.
Too.
Well, they red flagged the race for a lot of things.
Yeah, our show is under the red flag right now because that's the way it works.
It's crazy. So you go from the Coke 600, the longest race of the year, to a 300-mile race, which, as far as oval distance, the shortest oval distance you're going to race all season, and that race still was like over 6 hours from the time the green flag dropped. You get 1 lap in, Reddick has an issue, then it's the lightning hold, then we had multiple red flags throughout the day, and it was just, the whole thing. Before we jump into the bets, I wanted to point out DFS this week. It was an absolute great week. I had the best week I've had in quite some time. Had John Ginder on finally. He's been talking shit forever, trying to get on the DFS show. Was glad to have him on. But there were some really good call-outs. He had Joey Logano. Matt Sells also called Joey Logano out. Joey Logano, a nice solid 3rd place finish. But where we really killed it was our cheap guys. Michael McDowell, 5,700. He ends up finishing in 9th place. Saw quite a few people out there that had top 10 tickets on him. Congrats to you if you had him.
Started 21st too, by the way. That's where it really,
had to fight. Got in a couple scary things for a minute. He got Chastained at one point, right? Sitting on old tires up front, but ends up rallying. Nice solid day. And then I had given out Gilliland, 5,600. And Todd Gilliland does it again. A nice solid 15th place run. The 38 car seems to be good week in and week out. Zane Smith is going to be in that 38 car on a road course this weekend. I'm excited to see those top 10 odds because that might be a place I'm going to be going. I know we don't usually recap the DFS too much. Again, we do it early in the week. It's kind of guys to watch, depends on starting positions and stuff. But wanted to point out this week just because it was a very, very successful weekend in DFS.
Well, it's not surprised. You had two of the brightest DFS minds in NASCAR on the same show. Of course, you guys came up with some good stuff.
I don't know if I'd give John that much credit. But, just kidding, John. I got to say that because you're not here to defend yourself. So.
All right. Well, how'd you do on the bets? I feel like you placed some good ones here.
Yeah. So, Matt Seltz jumped on with me over on the betting episode. Appreciate him for joining me. My fellow Husker, live here in the same town. So, actually, I think we're both going out to the High Limits Racing series tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, whatever you're listening to this, might be tonight at this point. But Kyle Larson's High Limit Series is going to be out at Eagle Raceway. Might run into Matt over there. So it would be great to meet him in person since we live in the same city. But I was glad for him to join me here. He had Harvick over Chastain, -115 over on DraftKings. I posted the milk carton in the Discord earlier today. It's got the Watermelon Man on it. He seems to be missing Rod. Not really much to be heard from Ross yet again this week. He did start in 8th place. That was about his foray in the top 10. You didn't hear much from him after that. Chastain, McDowell at one point-ish. Maybe that could have been blamed on McDowell. I don't know that was necessarily completely Chastained, but they had their little small beef there, but this one easily cashed for Matt.
I'll tell you on Chastain. I called it out a couple of weeks ago. I said, look, he got smacked pretty hard. He got smacked on the nose.
Hey,
right?
When you take your dog and you get him neutered and you bring him home, he's not the same for a little while, right?
He's got to get that fight back in him, but right now he's tiptoeing. Eggshells hurt when you walk too hard on him, and that's what's going on with him right now. You're not seeing that same sort of, I'm going to put it wherever I want, and these guys are going to have to go around me. Like you said, with McDowell, that little brush up, and then even then, it was like that was it. That the fight was out of him. After that, there was nothing left in Chastain to fight with anybody for the rest of the day. So, again, that's what we're going to be doing for the rest of this year until we see it again. Chastain will be fully faded.
Yeah. And we're going to a road course where he's likely going to get good odds again from the books because he won a road course last season. Just going to continue to fade him, I think, going forward. Speaking of fading him, I had Martin Truex Jr. over him at -120. Again, an easy cash. Truex top 5 all day long. Started 5th, ended 5th. He was probably 5th in both stages. He actually wasn't, but he was 4th in stage 1. Outside the top 10 in stage 2, but ends up coming back and finishing in 5th place. But this, again, was an e-cash. Just wasn't really close all day. Matt had gave out Christopher Bell top 5 +165. Been a rough couple of weeks for Christopher Bell. He just seems to continue to find problems. I say that, but he still finished 11th. Not a horrible end to his day. Just had some issues throughout the day to not quite get into the top 5. I had Brad Keselowski in all 6 cylinders he was racing on. That car was so slow. Every time they show the leaders passing him, it's just like, they zoom, zoom, just like barely getting around the track. But that's why these guys stay out there. That's why these teams try to fix things and get back out. He ends up passing a ton of cars late. He ended up on the lead lap again at one point by just getting lucky dogs after all those cautions. Ends up finishing 28th on 6 cylinders. A solid points day for the 6 team when every point matters, especially with all these different winners we've had. It was a great effort by that team. So I had him over Chase Briscoe. Obviously, only 6 cylinders. He didn't beat. Oh, of course he did. Of course he beat Chase Briscoe because Chase Briscoe sucks. They say that he ran something over when Carson Hocevar's brakes exploded.
Wait, did he run over the debris from the last race? What was the debris?
I think he ran over the counterfeit part that wasn't helping him for that. But it's funny because
the Legacy Motorsports Club hit last week.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because 30th did not finish the race, 31st, but you got to go all the way down. Reddick Briscoe 34th. He was running at the end, but he was 50 laps down or so. So easy cash on Brad Keselowski over Chase Briscoe there. I didn't really have to sweat. I'm trying to remember. I think Keselowski might have had the cylinder issues before. His was pretty early in the day.
It was way early. It was
so I was like, fuck, here we go. And And Briscoe had not looked bad. He was pretty fast. I think he was like top 10 in practice. And I'm like, gosh, but then no, he didn't have anything after that. So again, fading Briscoe once again was profitable. Matt had given out Alex Bowman top 10 at plus 110. Bowman was running up there until very late. I'm not exactly sure what happened at the end, but he ended up getting beat by Ty Dillon, which is weird. So I'm not even sure what happened to Bowman at the end. He was top 15 towards the end of that race. So I don't know what the deal was. He ends up behind Yaley, behind Dillon, right ahead of McLeod. So obviously had an issue in overtime there, I guess. But my edge boost double down play of the day was Bubba Wallace over Chase Briscoe. This was not anywhere close. Bubba Wallace so fast. Luckily, Briscoe did have the problems he had because Wallace, with 4 laps to go, blew that brake rotor, ends up finishing in 30th place. Not a good day by him, but good enough to, again, beat Briscoe. So, fading Chase Briscoe, once again, very profitable. As far as the recaps go, 4 for 4 on head-to-heads at this point in time. Coming up on one that did not cash, unfortunately, but not because it wasn't a good pick, just bad circumstances. But a very, very solid day for picks this week. Speaking of that, Matt had Joey Logano, top 5, plus 150. This one cashed. Again, I talked about it, him and Ginder, both on Joey Logano this weekend. And behind the scenes, the episode had not been released yet. So when John Ginder brought it up on the DFS show, he hadn't listened to the Cup Series picks, so he didn't know that Matt was going to be on it as well. So I think both those guys landing on him was very nice, reassuring, and that one did cash at plus 150. I had Ricky Stenhouse over Eric Jones, minus 130. This was cashing all day. Again, not even close. Stenhouse, another impressive run, was doing so well. Then Austin Cindric and Austin Dillon's pissing match got in the way, and Ricky Stenhouse, a victim of those circumstances, ends up finishing 32nd in the accident. Eric Jones, an 18th place finish, but again, it's kind of where you expected him to be. Stenhouse was running extremely good all day. He was 6th place in stage 2. Again, he was up there a majority of the day. He started 12th place. Again, another strong, solid start for him. A 47 team has been looking good. This was the correct bet easily. Just, again, you get screwed by circumstances sometimes. That's going to happen, and happened here in this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I felt bad because you're right. That 47, and even the broadcasters were all over him too. They're like, look at Ricky Stenhouse over here, chipping away at everybody, and he was moving pretty nicely. And yeah, just when you get caught up in other people's nonsense, and it wasn't even as if Austin Dillon had anything.
Well, and so NASCAR has actually said that they are reviewing that accident because obviously Chase Elliott just got suspended. So all the smoke is, well, if anybody wrecks anybody, there's differences in wrecks. I think that needs to be pointed out. But the data does seem to suggest that Cindric wrecked Dillon on purpose. But the severity of the accident wasn't there. I don't think they suspend him. I think that would be a bad mistake. But it is under review. I would assume we'll find out Wednesday. At this point into Tuesday, we have not heard anything about penalties. So I don't think, if anything, maybe a monetary fine, but I don't think that he'll be suspended. But I did want to point out that it is under review, so we could come back tomorrow and be talking about that more. I don't think we will, but yeah, unfortunately, Stenhouse, of course, had to be the guy that got caught up in that. Otherwise, he would have easily cashed that bet for us. This was another good one by Matt here. He had AJ Allmendinger top 10 plus 750. This one had some legs. This is the most life I've seen out of AJ Allmendinger. He must realize that road courses are coming up to hopefully save his season. But there was some life from him. Ends up in 14th. He started 11th, kind of hanging around in that top 15 all day long. Had his opportunities. Didn't quite get up there. But again, at plus 750, I think that there was really good value there. He also gave out Bubba Wallace for a top 5 plus 450. This one was cashing, right? It looked good. Bubba was for sure going to finish in the top 10. Again, that brake rotor exploding late, just a few laps to go. It happens. It is what it is. That's just kind of how it goes. Unfortunately, did not cash. I had Christopher Buescher Top 10 plus 140. Another one that had some legs and was so close. Buscher ends up in 12th, just outside of the top 10. Unfortunately, did not cash. Another solid value bet. Todd Gilliland, 14-1 for a top 10 rod. Ends up in 15th place. Again, I feel like, maybe I didn't, I have to go back and listen. I feel like I said, if we get some chaos at the end of this race, he could survive it and work his way up there. We got a lot of chaos, right? We had 5 restarts in the last 20 laps or whatever it was. And Gilliland held his own, worked his way up there, was so close. 14-1, that would have been nice. Like I said, I know there was a lot of people in the industry that had McDowell top 10 finish. That I don't think the odds were obviously at 14-1, but I think was a pretty solid payday for a lot of people. So that was good to see.
Yeah, and really, again, all those restarts at the end just kind of reshuffled this deck over and over and over again, because it was, top 5. It wasn't as if it was like back markers that were making some of these mistakes or having these issues. These are cars that were running fairly well. You talked about Bubba having that issue, and he was running well inside of the top 10 and in the top 5 at points.
Reddick as well. I mean, he was running up there, and Hocevar even was 15th, I think, when his rotor blew. So
he was excited about that. He was happy running 15th, obviously.
Yeah. He was having a great day.
Yeah.
So for winning picks, again, another one that was just right there, had a chance. Matt gave out Denny Hamlin 11-1. Hamlin, I think, finished in second. Actually, he did finish second.
He finished second.
Yeah, so he was right there. He had his chances on some of those restarts. Larson was really holding him up. Larson was just trying to hang on with those old tires. If Denny could have gotten around him a little bit earlier, I think he would have had something for Kyle Busch, but wasn't able to do so. He also gave out Joey Logano 10-1. Again, Logano finished in third. So the second and third place finishers, both at 10-1 or more. Great calls by him. I had Kevin Harvick at 15-1. Harvick, I don't think really ever had a chance to win this race. Another solid top 10 finish for him. But again, you're never going to get us to argue when you want to bet on Kevin Harvick. He gave out Bubba Wallace at 40-1. Both of us were actually on that. We came out to that independently. Bubba had a nice fast car again. Maybe had circumstances been a little different at the end, he'd have had a chance. I don't think anybody really had anything for Kyle Busch at the end of that. But I had William Byron 7-1. This one had its chances where it looked good. He ended up, I'm trying to remember exactly how it worked out. At one point at the end there, he had the lead for a little while. I think that's when a lot of people pitted and a couple guys stayed out. That was like the first bad pit stop his pickers had ever, I think. But had a bad pit stop, sent him back a little bit. Then he just lost a ton of spots at one point, ended up pitting again, fought his way back, ends up in 8th place. Again, I don't think it's ever a bad thing to bet on William Byron at this point. He continues to show he has speed. He was running up front at points.
He led 30 laps in this race, and he was leading up until the lap 178, which you do right. That's the pit stop where he blew it. His pit stop blew it, and he came out, well within not where he was at before, and he lost the lead.
That's what cost him. But I mean, had we not had those late cautions, things could have been a lot different. I still think that was a good bet. Truex 11-1. Again, top 5. So we had 3 guys in the top 5 at 10-1 or more. Again, we didn't hit the outright this week, but the process has been there. We've been correct on these bets, and these guys were going to be good. We knew they were going to be good. We knew they were going to have their chances. Again, we didn't hit the right guy, but we were very close, and I think that continues to be a positive thing to take away from. And like I mentioned before, Bubba Wallace 40-1. Again, I think that there was just too much value on that one. And again, he was showing he had a fast car. Reddick had a very fast car at points as well. So I think that was a good call out by both of us.
Look, you had that bullseye surrounded. I mean, there was shots all over that, and you just almost had it. You're drawing your arrows, and you're right. You were almost there. Just obviously couldn't quite get it, but that's all right. Again, all we do next week is we head out to Sonoma and we re-rack them and do it all over again. Try to find some good bets out in Sonoma. But again,
speaking of heading out to Sonoma, literally. Oh yes, Rod is going to be there. boots on the ground, got his media credentials approved. I'm excited to see things through your lens at Sonoma, Rob.
I can't wait. I already told you I'm going to jump in a car. I'm gonna go for a ride with Kyle Larson. We're gonna have some fun. Then that'll be the last time you ever see me on this.
We'll see that. I'm gonna say we'll see that video clip plenty of times.
Oh yeah. That'll live on. And
you're like the guy that stole the pace car at Talladega many years ago.
Hey, it's like my good friend says: "Don't be memorable, be legendary." That's how it's got to be. So
there you go.
All right. Well, let's put Gateway and Portland behind us. And like Cody said, we'll turn our attention to Sonoma this coming week for the Xfinity. First time ever Xfinity is going to be on Sonoma, which is crazy. I mean, obviously, we've got plenty of road courses to handicap, but this will be their first time on Sonoma. Trucks taking a break for a couple of weeks.
Trucks are off until June 23rd, I think. So
crazy.
They've got a solid couple of weeks. The Cup and Xfinity both off next week, so it'll be a total bye week. We still got some shows planned for sure. Talk some future bets, some updates on the season for sure. So stick around. But I'm gonna be real sad with no racing next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be different because
we will. I think there is. I do think that there is an IndyCar race. So that's hopefully maybe we can do an IndyCar episode that week as well because.
Why
we
not?
will have the Grand Prix at Road America. So a track
that
track we've been familiar with. So I guess as long as we have some odds out, stand by for an IndyCar episode next week.
Yeah, fine. Let's do that. Yeah, because there's no F1 next week either.
Yeah. So fun. That's hey, give IndyCar their week to shine. I like it.
Beautiful. And we can find some other odds. Let's do that too. I don't care.
Exactly.
We'll find some rabbit odds. I don't care. All right. Listen, let's go ahead and let everybody go and send everybody on their way. Once again, I'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen. I will be back all week.
Such a relief.
I'm just saying, like I don't have any obligations to take me away from everybody, and I'm thrilled to be back. So thanks everybody. Thanks Cody for holding down the show. Thanks to all of the guests. Thanks to Mike. Thanks to Derek. Thanks to Gindy as well. And then who's the last one? Matt.
Yep.
Thanks to Matt as well for holding it. You guys don't even know how much of a relief it is to know that the show's in good hands when I'm away. But let's have some fun this week in Sonoma as I get ready to get the hell up out of there and have some fun with all the folks in wine country. All right, Cody, let everybody know they can find you on social media.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. Had an Edge Boost article actually come out this morning on Monday morning. Covers 5 different sports, 5 different futures bets, a couple of ways to use your Edge Boost double up to bet on those, a couple of ways to hedge them if you feel the need to. So there's NFL, MLB, college football, and then, of course, I had to sneak them in, Rod, F1 and a Truck Series future bet. Go check those out. That was a pretty fun article to write where he had 5 different sports all combined into one thing. So, check that out on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. And you can find all my other work there. Got some NFL stuff coming up again. Got all kinds of, I've heard some rumblings of maybe some more IndyCar articles coming soon. I know a lot of you have been wanting that. So, I think we finally got them talked back into that. So stay tuned. Lots of more fun stuff coming out there. But yes, follow me on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. Make sure you follow the show at NASCAR Gambling. I have a feeling Rod might be taking over that feed this weekend and sharing some fun pictures and videos.
Damn right. You're going to see an empty glass of wine, several empty glasses of wine. That's what you're going to see. And then me staggering onto the track, and that'll be it. So follow me on Twitter. Follow all the fun on Twitter at RJ Villagomez and, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. There's a link in my bio to everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between me to the back road. It's my week again. Hey, go figure. It's my week on the week of the race. I'll be there. That's fine. And then, of course, now I'm back in the saddle. I can write once more for frequency's sake. Check that out as well. We'll be back tomorrow with some odds for the Cup race. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing once more and let it ride.